What it do, yo? It's your boy King Barker here at the Too Easy King. Today we're doing a season 4 review of. Yeah, man. So Invincible, dog. I mean, it's this show is something that improves season after season. Maybe not animation quality wise, which is fine. Listen, if the quality has to be down a little bit for these to at least pump once a year, I'm fine with it. You know what I mean? I'm absolutely fine with it. And so, I think, this show is something different. It's something that it's not an anime, it's not a cartoon, it's like something in the in-between of everything. At times it can be an anime, at times it can be a cartoon or have a cartoon presence, and then other times it can be real gory and have a real strong adult presence, and then the actors, everything. There's so many things you can compare this show to that I think it's something new of its kind. Like it's like one of everything put into one. You feel me? And so, nah, man, I like this show, man. I just want to say that just to start off. I love Invincible. The show, it's grown on me. The first season was amazing, but I didn't know where this show would be going after that. I didn't know if they're gonna follow the comics. I briefly read the comics, like I skimmed through quite a bit, but I know the basics and what's going to be happening in comics. And yeah, man, it's easy to say that it would fucking suck to live in this universe. Like, just suck to be in a universe like this. And on top of that, imagine being a superhero in this universe. Oof. No plot armor, no bullshit. I mean, other than the main character. But if you're not the main character, you usually don't have plot armor in this show. Like, there's a lot of plot armor. Like, I can just tell you right now, Mark lives solely on plot. Like, I used to think Batman was the guy for plot armor. No, it's Mark. that kid has nothing but plot armor on him. It's not his Viltrumite DNA. It's not anything else. It's solely the solely the plot armor around him. But I like Mark's character. He, as super and as great as he is, he's human too, and you get to see him deal with his human problems and things like that. And so that's something I can appreciate about the show too. It doesn't just give you the superhero aspect; it gives you the aspect of the person being the hero when they're not the hero. You know what I mean? So I like that as well. And so there's so many things, so many depths that we can go into. But let's get started with the season, man. Season 4. So with this season starting off, Earth's okay now after Conquest, and then you had the Invincible War. All the Invincibles came on because of Langstrom Levy. That's that right? Old boy, they look like a testicle monster. So because of him, a bunch of Invincibles came out. Of course, he was mad of how all the other Angstroms got killed or died or combined into this one guy. And you have like 20 or 30 different you or a bunch of yous inside you or something like that. Some weird thing. And so yeah, so it's this weird thing where he came back for revenge, and so he's still messed up on all of that. And then you got the Sequids on episode 1 coming in, and you see Mark, and of course going back to season 3, Mark made a promise at the end after fighting Conquest that he's not gonna be holding back anymore. He's if it comes between him and saving lives and his family, he's gonna kill. He's gonna go for the kill shot. And yeah, man, I mean, it just sucks being in this universe, especially if you're Mark. Oof. The thing is, the comic is not gonna kill you off. Like this must be a hell for Mark. Like if you think about it, like the comic book or the show, they're not gonna kill you off, but they're gonna fucking torture you. They're they're gonna put you through hell. And it's just crazy the shit that they put Mark through, like in this show. Like you think Spider-Man has it bad? No, no. And Spider-Man has it pretty bad. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. He has it pretty bad. But Mark, no. That is the true troop of torment. That man, his existence is meant to be miserable. Oh man, that man, you gotta give it to Mark though, man. Like the fact that he didn't go batshit like the other Invincibles, like he's different from all the other Invincibles. All the other Invincibles turned. He's like one of the few or one of the only ones that didn't turn and go crazy. You know what I mean? But man, there's a content, and you can see like in this world, you can see there's consequences for things that happen, which you can appreciate. And going into episode 1 again, we had the Sequids. They're taking over, and then you had what's her name, the green girl. I was about to say Gamora. What Galaxica? Axica? I know she's played by Danny Guerrero from The Walking Dead, Michonne. But it's just like, it's just like character you don't really care about. I mean, I'm pretty sure she was big in the comics. Who knows? She might have a big role in the show. But yeah, it's just one of those villains you just don't care about. And then the Sequids come, and Mark, Eve come down. Eve's having trouble with her powers. And then you're gonna find out why in a bit. And so, they go. Mark gets fucked up, and Eve has to come in and save the day. Like, and that's just crazy to me that Mark always has to get fucked up in every episode. I'm like, gosh damn, why the fuck does he always have to get fucked up? And then he got fucked up by a Dinosaurus, and I don't even, Dinosaurus, old boy in the beginning of the episode, and all and things like that. My bad, I'm skimming through. I'm not breaking the episode down. I'm just skimming through each episode, so bear with me. And so, yeah, no, and then, you see Mark losing it throughout this episode, talking with Eve's dad. And I ain't gonna lie, Eve's dad is just the worst character. I ain't even gonna lie. Like, what I mean? Sometimes you do get why he's being an asshole, but most of the times it's just like, dog, shut the fuck up. Like, somebody needs to just smack the shit out of him. You know what I mean? But I guess Trump being, losing your job and doing all sorts of shit and just, living that type of life would fuck with your head, I think, and it fucked with his to a point where now he's just an asshole to everybody. I don't know. It's just me. I'm just like, he's such a dick. You know what I mean? You want to root for him, and then, and the mom's not in any of it. She enables it. You know what I mean? And then you find out why, because she never thought she could actually live a good life or find somebody and things like that. So she just settled, and it's this whole idea of settling and whatnot. Whatever. Honestly, I don't really care about that side story with Eve's family. All respect to her. But you kind of get a scope of how she is and why she does things and stuff like that. And you gotta understand, like, living with those type of parents, it ain't easy. At least he has a parents, but yeah, it ain't easy. And so, yeah, man, but slowly but surely you're seeing Mark losing it. Like, he's losing it, but he's self-aware though. He's losing it, but he's self-aware that he's losing it. And then, Sequids attack, and after they're done with Galaxica, or I'm butchering that name. Anyways, Galacta or something like that. I'm not even gonna take time to even Google it. I'm sorry. Green girl. If she has a bigger role, I'll remember the name. But old girl. I'll just say old girl. And yeah, man. And so Sequids come, and I'm thinking this is gonna be like at least like maybe a second episode, maybe 3. No, it's just gonna be this episode we're gonna deal with the Sequids. I was like, the whole build up last season where they're coming back and things like that. But I guess you can't really drift away from the main story too long. You know what I mean? Which I think it's a part of the story, but it's like a side quest. You know, Viltrumites, that's the big bad. There's nothing bigger than that. So you do that, and Mark makes a decision at the end whether to kill the main villain or, you know, hold off because he has to bring him the disruptor or something that disrupts Sequids. I mean, you guys already saw it. And, you know, he makes a choice and he kills the dude. Straight up turns his head to mush. And keep in mind, a Sequid is like a little alien thing, like the movie Aliens. It takes over somebody's mind. And the person's mind that he's taking over is an innocent astronaut that's actually a good person, but his mind was taken over. And so he had to make a choice whether to save the world or kill this guy. Like, that's the choice Mark's faced with. And there's going to be a lot of choices like that throughout the seasons that he's faced with. And, you know, and you're going to see Mark just change. Like, he's just like, he's done with the bullshit. You know what I mean? Because, you know, Mark always, you know, he's trying to be the good guy. And when you're trying to, and a theme that they showed last season was about Cecil, you know, how he became the director of the Pentagon, I guess, and all these other things. Like, he had to make a decision, like, does he want to be the hero or the guy who saves the world? And you can't do both. And it's that, it's gonna be that tug and pull throughout this season where it's like damn, like Mark really got the shit end of the stick. But still, you know, he has to make those decisions, and then he kills this guy, and then Cecil's fucking hypocritical ass. And I'm not gonna lie, Cecil pissed me off halfway through the episode. He was actually pretty decent, but he pissed me off because he was trying to act all high and mighty and said, "Why are you killing? Why are you doing this?" And then the whole time, this guy was hiring villains that tortured kids, killed kids, and things like that. I mean, which I understand you got to use them because of their power and their knowledge, but at the same time, you're still working with evil people. You know what I mean? And then, not to mention, he kept Conquest alive, and at the end of the episode, Conquest dips out. And then Cecil's like, shit. And I'm like, dog, the fuck did you expect was gonna happen? Like, you think he was just gonna stay there and sing Kumbaya with you? You dumb motherfucker. Like, Cecil, I love Cecil's character, but at the same time, he's a fucking hypocrite. I ain't gonna lie, he's a big fucking hypocrite. Oh my god, season 3, he's just the biggest fucking hypocrite. But anyways, I digress. Let's keep it pushing. Then going into episode 2, you're seeing the storyline of Viltrum. I like what they did with this throughout the season. You know, talking about Viltrum, showing us what actually happened. And later on, I'm going to talk about the Purge. And it was good. It was good the way they did that storyline. I like seeing, you know, Nolan's background, you know, seeing him as a kid and what he had to go through. And you see the comparison on how he beat the shit out of Mark in season 1 versus how his mom and dad beat the shit out of him now in season 4. And so you see why he had to do it. And then, you know, and then now it makes a lot more sense when Nolan says your education starts now, because that's how he was taught. You know what I mean? For him, you know, beating the shit out of your kids is just another Tuesday. You know what I mean? And so it's a shitty place, it's a shitty existence to live in, but, you know, it is what it is. And yeah, bro, like, you know, it's it's crazy the amount of stuff the amount of things that Nolan went through, and he still was able to turn good. You know, he was killing and destroying civilizations for about 1,000 years, and only 20 years on Earth because he had some of that Debbie cake. He had some of them Debbie cakes. This man changed up. And I ain't gonna lie, man. If I find a Debbie out there, yeah, you know what I mean? I'm changing too. I ain't even gonna lie to you. But, you know, overall, dog did his thing. And, you know, throughout the episode, you're seeing the flashbacks of the Scourge virus, you know, fucking up the Viltrumites and killing billions. Whole time they had to hide that. Pretty much they hid the fact that there's only like 50 of them left, and which is crazy. And so, talking about the whole mission, you see the background, you see a different side of Nolan that actually makes you feel like, damn. And I like how they humanized Nolan. I'm not gonna lie to you. And that was actually good how they did it. I'll give them that. And the way they did the Ragnars and everything, like that whole mission, like I think people needed to see that, because if you just did all that, skip that part of them going to Earth, then I don't think it would have the same effect. You know what I mean? I don't think it had the same effect. And then, once they're done, they have their own mission, the venture. Oh, and by the way, that was funny how they did that Star Trek reference. You know what I mean? Of what is it, Star Trek: The Next Generation or something like that. And so with Picard, and they did the whole fucking cat. I'm not a Trekker. I ain't even gonna lie to y'all. I'm not even a Trek. I'm a Star Wars fan. That's me. That's where I live at. But no, it was funny how they did that. You know what I mean? And then those scenes and the frames that they kept reusing of Nolan going like this, because Alan's out there getting some alien cheeks. Well, not for him. It's not alien cheeks for him. It's just another girl, But you get what I'm saying. He was getting some cheeks, and yeah, man, that was funny. That whole thing, that whole sequence was funny. But no, it was a great episode overall, and I actually liked it. And then, it was nice. It was real wholesome. It was actually good to see that side of Nolan, to actually understand what's going down. And then, you still see that he has anger, when he meets with Thaddeus, and Thaddeus shows him the, Scourge virus or whatnot. So you can still see he has a lot of anger in him and things like that. But no, it was like a build-up, but at the end, he composed himself. And he understands that, even at the end of all that, you see all he went through, and then at the end, he's like, yeah, we do still got to get rid of my people and stuff. And he does it under the idea that he just wants to get rid of them to protect his sons. You know what I mean? Like he was saying, hey, we can wipe out my people, but it stops with us. Like, you're not going to mess with my sons. It's not going to get close to my kids or anything like that. Like, he has that priority. So it was good to see that side of Nolan too, and humanize him, like, because everybody hates the fuck out of Nolan after season 1. After season 1, you hate the fuck out of Nolan, and then it starts making sense. It's just like a buildup of making sense. Like, you go from season 2 all the way to now. It's like, okay, now I see what was going down. And so it's just like, man, you know what I mean? Like, this show, it gives its development, like the way it progresses and the way it does it, like, I don't think you could do this with any other show. That's what I was saying earlier. Like, this is a different type of show. You wouldn't get this with most other shows. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, what Robert Kirkman and Amazon did with this show, you're doing good. I know people talk about the animation. We'll talk about all the little things everybody's talking about. I'm also gonna have a fraud tier, actually. And so at the end of this video, so we will have a fraud tier list. I ain't gonna lie to you. There's gonna be some names on there you guys might not like, but this is how I feel about it. But we'll get to that in a minute. And then, at the end, Nolan and Thaddeus had their thing. And then season 3, it was, episode 3, you could tell it's filler, but it was good. It was good to see that backstory with old boy that turns into like brick or cement or whatever. And it was good having that backstory, and then him getting tricked by Eraserhead, or was it Eraser Machine Head or whatever his name is. And, he got tricked again by him to get back into the group along with the other guy that they was beefing with. So, yeah, man, that was a good little story, little side story, but it wasn't anything that I'm crazy. I'm just like, my thing is, how is that guy, Mr. Liu, how is that guy able to actually put in the business on Viltrumites like Mark or Oliver? Like, are they just holding back and they just don't want to kill, or is that what it is, or something like that? Like, I don't know. It's just crazy to me that guy actually has a chance against a Viltrumite. You know what I mean? Half Viltrumites Yeah, but still has a shot. I'm just like, nah, man, it has to be something else. But anyways, and then of course another filler episode. I'm not. You see how I didn't even talk about number 3, number 4, also another filler episode. A, a dope episode, episode I didn't expect. Like it just it doesn't fit into the season, but it was okay. It wasn't the best episode out of there. We're about to get to those. Wasn't the best episode, but it was alright. Episode 4, pretty much the hell thing that they were talking about, the hell arc that they were talking about. I'm thinking this is gonna be at least 2 episodes. But no, this only took 1 episode. So I'm glad with the time distribution that with the time that they used for this, like it was just the right amount of time they used for it. And I was just like, okay, I was cool with it. And it was crazy hearing what's his name, Bruce Campbell as Satan, like that whole story about they don't know about heaven. All they know is that they can't let the vial escape and this and that. And so I was just like, that's crazy. I'm just like, okay. I mean, it's wild. And then you find out that there may not be a heaven or something. It's just hell, or something like that. It's just like, okay. I mean, it was cool. It was cool. And so I actually enjoyed it. And, I think for what this season is, I think it really has something like it, it really had its own thing. And I liked it. And that, yeah, but I think that was a good, little side stories. I wasn't the biggest fan. I ain't gonna lie, I was low key mad. I ain't gonna lie. When I first saw it, but then I saw it, I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. I hope we go back and see, Damon Darkblood, or what's his name? Damon Darkblood, right? Damien. And, see, how him and his sister handle all the other stuff and, with Satan and stuff. So that was pretty cool. But it's like crazy. Like, I'm feeling like, if Satan's there, I feel like he'd be a lot stronger. But I don't know. That's just me. But yeah, man. And then, we had, what's his face? The mummy guy, take over. It's funny. They keep skipping his arc or whatever, story that is. It keeps getting skipped. Like, that's like a running gag that he never gets to, get like somebody that's strong, or he doesn't like going with women, or he doesn't want a woman host or anything like that. It's a funny bit that they have that I actually like. And so, it's pretty cool. It's pretty funny. They have a lot of running gags on this thing. And so, I give them a lot of props that they actually have side stories within the story. I mean, of course, they're getting it from the comic books. And, when you bring it from the comic books and you go through the source material, then you get to add other things. And I feel like other studios should, take notes from Invincible, man. Like, it's so important to follow the source material. It's very important. And I think following the source material gives you a chance to do more to it. Not just copy and paste it, but it gives you a chance to do more when you follow the source material. You can do extra stuff. You can do little side stuff that adds more to it, or it gives it extra flavor. You know what I mean? So yeah, no, good episode. I have no complaints. I mean, it was just good. It was something separate from the show that I think was just good. And and anytime, maybe, who knows, that might be somebody's favorite episode. You know what I mean? Who knows? But going on to the next episode, episode 5, we have Give Us a Moment. And in this one, I think this is the one where, this is the episode where Mark and Conquest duke it out. But, beforehand, they have to introduce us to Tech Jacket. They got to introduce us to all that. They had to bring in Nolan and Alan the Alien down. They're just hanging out, talking, and of course, that big scene with Debbie and Nolan, they're going at it, word-wise, not going at it. Not yet. Anyways, and so, yeah, man, I mean, it was Probably one of the best episodes. I don't know if it was the best episode, but it was one of the best episodes. I ain't gonna lie. The one episode I'm about to tell you about, I think that was the best episode, but I could be wrong. Of course, of the season. You know, my personal favorite episodes has to be. It's a battle between season 3, episode 8, or season 1, episode 8. It's always the last episode that like really leaves its mark. Yeah, what I did there. Yeah, but yeah. So, but in season 5, they say their goodbyes. Debbie and Debbie and all the kids, Oliver. I'm gonna have a lot to say about Oliver. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Gonna have a lot to say about that boy. But yeah, they all say their goodbyes. They eat. Debbie, Nolan have their scene before that. Powerful scene. I think that's probably some of the best voice acting. I think like scenes like that should make like academies or these award plays. Like me personally, I don't give a damn about acting or award, whatever the hell they call it. But I feel like there should be awards for like voice actors. You know what I mean? Like Debbie should win an award for that. Like that scene right there, her crying and everything. Like that scene. I'm not an actor. I can't tell what's acting. I have no foot in it. But I can tell you right now, like she acted her ass off on that scene. She should win a fucking Emmy for that. Like no hold bar, like nothing holding. Like straight up should just win a fucking Emmy for that. But yeah, then they go. Nolan has this thing. He had his argument with Debbie. He's trying to make up with her. He's trying to like nothing happened. Like he didn't fucking put Mark through the fucking train station. You know what I mean? Or fucking killed thousands of people because he was fucking mad, or because not because he was mad, but because he wanted to teach Mark. You know what I mean? Like, oof. And so yeah, no, and then with that, Nolan and Nolan goes back to the ship. He leaves after their argument. Everybody goes back, and then Oliver's mad that Nolan didn't see him. And it's just this thing where Nolan, and going back to episode 2, if I my bad, you see throughout that episode of him apologizing, him understanding that damn I really fucked up. You know what I mean? Like what we did as Viltrumites is really fucked up. You know what I mean? He's just doing an apology tour. But he's still fucking up at the same time. You know what I mean? But it shows you how human he is now. Like I feel like that's so human of him. Like even though you're trying your best to be good, you're still fucking it up at the same time. And his conversation with Debbie when they're talking, about Oliver's mother, he's like, I didn't love her. Like he didn't know how to read the room. You know what I mean? The Viltrumite came out of him where he did not know how to read the room. And I'm not saying for him to lie, but not for him to articulate his words, because you're going to see in the next episode what I'm talking about. But staying on this, the moment where they take off and they go, Tech Jacket joins, everything. Like it was so easy for Tech Jacket and their family and stuff. But yeah. And so, so they head off and they get intercepted by Viltrumites. I mean, of course. Because, and throughout season 3 and some of this season, they're still talking about the mole. Thaddeus is talking about the mole. And so, somebody gave their position up. Somebody knew that they were coming. And so they get intercepted by, what's his face? There's this fat button chops motherfucker with beard. And then there's fucking Steve Harvey, coming in, trying to run shit back. And then behind him is the man himself, fucking Conquest, the most terrible motherfucker you ever seen on TV. This dude, oh my goodness. And so he's coming back. He has brand new arm. He's ready. And Mark is having PTSD flashbacks. He's just like, what the fuck? He's like, and I'm pretty sure in the back of his mind, he's like, is that fucking Cecil. Because if y'all remember in season 3, episode 8, at the end of it, fucking Cecil keeps the motherfucker alive, thinking that some cement was gonna hold back some fucking a couple 100,000 pounds of cement was gonna hold this guy down. This guy goes through buildings like it's nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, why the fuck? Why would you think that cement was gonna hold this man back? Like, I was just like, what? And he thought bombs were gonna stop this guy. I was like, you fucking idiot, Cecil. You could have done one better. Just cut his head off and then keep his head alive and try to find out what the fuck, You know what I mean? They have the technology for it. So I'm pretty sure they had the technology for it. And I was just like, man, just cut this guy's head off and put it on like those, receptor thingies or whatever, where he can still talk. That was my pet peeve with Cecil, man. Cecil, he makes good points and he comes back, but then he's just a fucking hypocrite at the end. He just comes back and just fucking does some stupid shit at the end. And, and so going back to the fight, him and, for a small second, him and Nolan, Conquest and Nolan go at it. And, Conquest still talking his shit. Fucking Negan, fucking going all out. And, for a minute, I'm thinking they're going to scrap. And we could see the power scaling between the fight he had with Mark versus the fight he's going to have with Nolan. And I was just like, oh, shit. And then, of course, Mark gets in because he's just seeing red when he sees Conquest. And so he just goes at it. And I ain't gonna lie, he's putting in that work, and then Oliver gets in the way, of course. And let's just say it. I'm just gonna skip the bullshit. Oliver is a fucking liability. Why the fuck is he here? I had to say it. Why the fuck is he here? I had to say this shit because, gosh damn it, man, like that motherfucker should have stayed home. Nolan was actually right. Nolan's usually a dickhead, but those are one of the few times where I actually agree with Nolan. I'm like, dog, stay your ass home, bro. And then fucking Oliver has this thing where he puts himself in a position where he's like, yeah, I fought him too. I did this too. I did this. I also did this. Like, dog, no. You helped at times, maybe. But you didn't do anything, big homie. Like the fight with Conquest, you nearly got killed, big dog. You got maybe two hits. Maybe a good 2 hits on him the first time. And that motherfucker stretched you out at least 3-4 inches. You're probably taller now because of Conquest. So I'm just like, no, you stay the fuck home. Love you, bro, but stay the fuck home. You're not ready for this. Maybe by the time I get back, you will be. But now, stay the fuck home. Like, that's my thing. We are not, you know what I mean? I'm not going to fucking bring you in as liability. Reason why I say all that is because guess what happens? This motherfucker is about to get fucked. It's just getting fucked up by everybody. He's getting fucked up by Conquest, some random Viltrumite, some random guy, Lucan, all these other people. All these Viltrumites are just using this nigga as a fucking beanbag. Fucking boop, boop, boop. Everybody just having their turn with him. I'm just like, gosh, damn, man. Like, what the fuck? And so, yeah, bro, like, Oliver is a fucking liability, dog. Send his ass home, man. Like, on the real. Like, say what you will about anything else or what the fuck ever. That motherfucker is a liability. I'm sorry. He's on the fraud tier list. I'm sorry. And I'll tell y'all in a minute. And so going back to Mark fighting Conquest, him and Conquest going at it. And and it's going crazy, and then Mark's fight, it's a whole bunch of chaos. They're all going between and stuff. I'm not gonna lie to you. Tech Jacket as well. I'm not gonna lie, she's also on that fraud tier list. Spoiler alert. That motherfucker is on the fraud tier list because gosh damn, can she beat anybody? Like I remember she knocked off like one or two Invincibles. You know what I mean? She knocked off one or two of them, so I was just like, what the fuck are we? What the fuck are you? Why the fuck are you here now? Like what are you doing now? And so I don't know. That's just my thing. It's just this thing where she gets injured, and she, she's real self-efficient, self-reliant, and her armor can fix itself, which is good. But it's like if your armor gets wrecked during battle, you're done. You're done. You're dunzos. And so yeah, she's on the front list, and then it goes back and forth through all the chaos. Oliver is getting fucked up, and he can't breathe. And, Nolan has to save him, and then he's like, there's a planet close by, and, Oliver needs to breathe, but there's no more of a ship because it got intercepted. And so, yeah. And so and also to the people, too, that were saying that, oh, she just left him to the general, Alan's girl. They can't fight Viltrumites. You know what I mean? They don't have the strength. So if they would have stayed there, they would have been killed. And so even Thaddeus was like, yeah, you did the right thing. So to anybody saying that, I was seeing a lot of that shit in the comment section. I'm like, no, she did the right thing. She got the fuck up out of there, which is what fucking Oliver should have done. But I digress. But anyways, Oliver can't even fucking breathe. He goes to the closest planet, and Conquest and Mark are going at it. And then Conquest sees Oliver, and he's like, oh, damn, I'm about to go kill your brother. Be right back. And then old boy was like, oh, no. And I'm not going to lie, the animation just got better and better by episode, and I loved it. I actually liked it. And so you could tell where the animation was ramping up because this dude did like a shadow impact frame, where he was coming behind. He was about to slice Oliver in half. And then Mark freaking got him at the last second. It was dope. I know you'll know what I'm talking about. And so, yeah, man, this show, yeah, it has some great moments. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. But yeah, the animation, you could just tell where it just ramped up and peaked, and it became peak. And so, yeah, man, and then him and Mark are just going at it for a minute, and then freaking Mark says, you ain't breathing again. He's choking. All meanwhile, Conquest is just hammering his abs. You know what I mean? Just hammering away. Bah, bah, bah. And Mark's taking, like, you could tell Mark gets stronger with each of these, like, near-death experiences. I guess you could say. He gets stronger and stronger. And I guess that's, one of the reasons why they call him invincible, too, because it's like each encounter he has, he just becomes more and more stronger, which is like what I like, too. Because it's like, it's not like he's just getting a power-up because he's getting a power-up and he's a Viltrumite. Like, no. He's getting these things because he puts himself in life-death situations and he becomes stronger each time. Or I think he just holds back a lot less. It's either one or the other. We don't know truly if it's just because he holds back, but still, I mean, I do think he holds back at times, but this is after season 3, this is after his promise. So I'm like, no, he's not holding nothing back. And so they're going at it, and, Mark, is still holding on for dear life, and, Conquest is still doing his thing, going around the planet. They can't keep up with this guy. They cannot keep up with Mark or Conquest. Mark can still hold on to his neck. No, I don't even think Nolan could have caught up with him. Like, for a second. Like, that's how fast they're moving across the planet. Like, dude is choking him to death. And, Conquest's face is all purple. And you see it's actually doing damage to him. He's actually choking him out. And, which is crazy. But, and there was people, too, saying, he's like, if he could breathe in space, why would he need air and this and that? He's like, but you guys forget, you still need, this stuff like that about them breathing in space and stuff. It's like, yeah, because they don't need to breathe in space. All the air circulates throughout their body, inside. They don't need to breathe, if you're a Viltrumite. And so, yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it's, yeah, pretty much. Oh, my bad. But yeah, pretty much they don't have to breathe in space. So there was a lot of people saying that stuff. I was just like, but yeah, they're Viltrumites and they can have it certain. Like there's somebody explained it online a lot better than me, but go check it out when you have a chance to, about the whole breathing thing or the breathing, how their breathing works. But yeah, Mark goes at it, and then Mark is on demon time. I'm not gonna lie to you, he's not letting go. Conquest is trying to Conquest, probably the second strongest Viltrumite. You know what I mean? The one that all other Viltrumites are scared of, except for Thragg. You can see why. Why he's second. And this guy, he cannot get Mark off him. Mark is holding on for dear life, and he cannot get off him. Keep in mind, Conquest's neck is like a tree trunk. He's wrapping his hands around his neck, around a tree trunk. And whatchamacallit. And, Conquest, he's doing everything. He's punching Mark in the face and the ribs, everything. And then I think Mark even bites his finger off, which is crazy. When he spit it out, I was like, oh, he's on demon time. Yeah, and then, of course, that freaking OP ass move with the freaking hand. The fucking gut puncher, fucking, impales Mark, and Mark is still fucking going. His guts are spilling out in the battle. Does not matter. Fucking Mark is going ham, and fucking Conquest is dying slowly. But the way it shows it, he's just like this, grabbing fucking Mark's guts. I'm like, oh shit. I'm just like, oh fuck. And me as somebody who has a hernia, where if I fuck up and I cut this hernia on the top, on my stomach, all my guts fucking spill out and shit. You know what I mean? Like it just like I was holding my stomach watching this shit. I was like, ah. If you guys want to see it, it's like I'm pregnant. Right. But yeah, man. I mean, it was crazy, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. That episode was fucking crazy, and it only gets crazier. And so after that, Conquest finally, slowly withers away out of existence, and he dies. He actually dies. And keep in mind, Conquest is thousands of years old. I think he's older than Thragg. You know what I mean? So it's just like, you got to keep that into perspective too. Like, gosh, damn, this guy lived a long fucking time. And, yeah, man, I mean, it's crazy. It truly is. And so with that happening, Mark is at the end, he actually kills Conquest by himself this time. Because I know Conquest made a joke about, Eve being the one that killed him. But no, this time it was full on Mark. No help. Soloed fucking Conquest, which is amazing because this is the guy who terrifies everybody, except for Thragg. You're gonna see why in a minute. And so I mean, you guys already seen the show. You already know why. You already know. And then going on to the next episode, you have them on that planet where there's a bunch of bugs, and or whatever and things like that. You go into that planet. And, it starts off with Nolan burying Conquest, and then, Oliver not understanding why. He's like, man, why are you burying him and this and that? Which I thought it was cool. It puts it to perspective that even though he was a fucking maniac, murdering psychopath, he still was one of the top dogs of Viltrum. You know what I mean? He was still one of the top dogs. He's like number 2. Of nightmare terrors, from the victim, for victims of Viltrumites. You know what I mean? Like, people have dreams about this motherfucker, have nightmares about this motherfucker. I mean, he's terrifying to other people, even his own people. So, you gotta put that into perspective. And Oliver's like, yo, he killed people, he did this and that, and it's like a respect thing, you know what I mean? And it's like something that Oliver doesn't understand. He's so young, but it's like a respect thing. Regardless if I hated you, I still respected you. I could still respect you enough to give you a grave. But which is crazy, and you can see how far Nolan has come. Because if Nolan was still the Viltrumite that he was, he wouldn't have given him no grave or nothing. He would have no emotions to give him a grave, or to think of, to have that idea in his head to give him a grave. So I thought that was cool. And you see the father. I'm just a speed run. It was a father bonding son filler episode kind of for a minute. And it was nice. It was nice to see that side of Nolan, actually him be a father to Oliver. Oliver didn't want it to stop. I mean? He wanted it to go, and I was like, man, you forget Oliver's a kid still. Even though he's aging, by the day, you still forget, sometimes you do forget that he's a kid. And so, and I've made fun of that lobster scene, where he's talking about lobsters, hey, I ain't gonna lie. If you see the comics, it gets a whole lot freakier than that. But I think we can. I don't think we have to get into that just yet. Maybe not until next season. I hope they don't show. That's probably gonna be a season 6 situation, probably. And so, yeah, no, Oliver has fathered Bunny's son. He still cares about his mom. Oliver doesn't fuck with Nolan, at first, and then eventually they rock with each other, and it's a sweet moment. It's pretty nice. And at the same time, you're seeing all the Viltrumites, and then of course during the previous battle, Alan and Tech Jacket hit on the Viltrumite ship that has what's his face, Steve Harvey, and so they're still looking for him, and they don't know where Conquest is. Keep in mind, nobody knows that Conquest is dead. And so, they're looking for him. They don't know where he's at. And then Thragg calls everybody back, and because they're gonna attack Telescria, the main planet with the planets of coalitions, where Thaddeus is, and stuff like that. And so, pretty much from what's happening. And so, they end up attacking, and it's crazy. But before that, Mark wakes up, and he's thinking that Oliver and Nolan are dead, but they're not. Nice little reunion. Find out they've been there for about 2 months, and during that time they've been overtaking Viltrumite conquered planets. And keep in mind, there's only 50 Viltrumites left, and they're the only ones. They're only 40 something left, and their control on certain planets is still there. And so they're going there to liberate all these planets, and it's working. And what's his name? Thragg is mad at the motherfucker. He said, "Why are they doing this? Don't they love being slaves? Don't you like being under our control?" And so, it's just crazy. You see an ideology, he's pretty much space Hitler, pretty much. And so, and they actually make a funny joke on the show, on I believe episode 8. They make a pretty funny joke about that. But yeah, man. I mean, it's just crazy. And then the mole is still there, and we still don't know who the mole is. And then Mark after Mark wakes up, it reunites, and then they're like, okay, we gotta get to Telescria. We gotta get back in this war. So they head to Telescria, and of course, Thaddeus is there talking and everything, and then they get attacked by a Viltrumite ship that has Thragg in it, and he's just there talking with his skull looking like a jacked William Shakespeare. You know what I mean? You're just like, okay, this guy's, his voice is a little whiny. At first, you're feeling it. You're like, the voice is you think a guy like this is just I don't know about this. Yeah, you're just give it take. So, I mean, some people were okay with it at first. Me personally, I was like, I don't know. Let's see what happens. Let's see if it grows on me. Let me hear him in battle. You know what I mean, or something. I don't know. Maybe it needs to grow on me. I was one of those few people. I ain't gonna lie. I was. If you're seeing this on TikTok, or if you see my TikTok, you're gonna know what I'm talking about. And yeah, man. I mean, it was and I was okay with it at all. So, they come in, attack. You see Thaddeus putting in work, man. He started whooping General Krieg's ass. He started snapping necks. Dude was snapping fucking necks and shit. I was like, gosh damn, Thaddeus. And I'm just like, gosh damn, okay, that's a big dog right there. And so, you get to, oh shit, you get to see Thaddeus in combat, and it was actually pretty cool. And I'm just like, gosh dang, they're killing all these people though. They're like, during the whole meantime, they're just destroying these aliens. And it was a big moment. And then they're fighting, they're all doing their thing, and then Tech Jack is about to get off by Anissa, and then Mark saves her, and then they go all out. I ain't gonna lie, the animation was a little wonky on this episode, but it's okay. It wasn't the best episode. It was like those episodes that are building up for the next one. And so, and you get a little hope. Like for a little second, you get some hope that, dang, okay, these guys, hey man, these guys got it. And then Thragg, hey, they end up retreating. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, he's the main villain and they're retreating? No way. And so he retreats, and they retreat back to Viltrum. And, of course, they find out who the Mo is. It's one of the globby aliens at the, that's cool with Alan the alien. Turns out it's a fat one. He's just a little coward. And then, overall, it turns out he's the Mo. I don't know what they do with him, but they're like, hey, we all got to go right now to Viltrum to go stop him. Because they're meeting up. And so they're like, okay, cool. And you got a little hope. You have some hope in you. You have a lot of hope in your, at this point, right? Probably at this point, you're like, yeah, they could take him. Yeah, they could take him. And then, and it just, we'll get to that next episode. So, once we get there to the next episode, it's like a flashback of a Viltrum, and I'm glad they showed it to us. They showed us the Purge, and they showed it right before the Purge. So they showed us a young Thaddeus, trying to defend people that were, trying to protect themselves and things like that. And honestly, I think maybe if a couple people would have listened, Viltrum would have gone a different direction. Like, it's always those couple people that would have made a difference. Like, if someone backed Thaddeus and the Emperor saw that, maybe he would have been like, okay, maybe I am being too much of a dick or something like that. You know what I mean? And then you get to hear why Thaddeus is thinking that, because he was actually the most ruthless Viltrumite out there. Like, in his younger days, he could have been as hot as as big as Thragg in his day. You know what I mean? But even at this point, he's still old. And so you don't know how long he's lived. He's lived at least a couple thousand years old. Couple thousand years. He's probably the same age as the Emperor. And so the Emperor is ruthless. And I like the little thing they did where they had Thaddeus and the Emperor talking with each other, because Thaddeus is the Peter Cullen, the voice of Optimus Prime. And then the other one's the voice of Megatron. And so it's like, it was cool having them come together. And so, the show does that a lot, with the Star Trek and things like that. Like, they pay homage to other characters and other things that they like, which was dope. I actually enjoyed that. And, and what's his name? You see a younger Thragg, and, Thragg's saying, exactly. And keep in mind, Thragg was engineered by Viltrumites to be the greatest warrior that Viltrum's ever seen. And so, he's asking Thragg, hey, what do you think about old boy, trying to stand up and try to be a good guy? They're talking about Thaddeus, and old boy's like, no, I'm mistaken. Like, it sounded like he wanted no smoke with that. I don't know if he respected him or whatnot, but it was something in Thragg that wanted no smoke with Thaddeus at that point. At least at that point. Now, I don't know if Viltrumites get stronger with age or something like that. I don't know if it's like Asgardians, from Marvel, like that. But whatever it is, he wanted no smoke with Thaddeus. So, but, at the same time, that was the same night that Thaddeus off the Emperor. And I ain't gonna lie, and you get to see that the consequences for choices. Like, if he would have acted and killed Thaddeus, the Emperor would have still been alive, and it probably would have been way worse. Well, maybe way worse. Maybe. I don't know. Honestly, we only saw him for like 2-3 minutes, the Emperor, and then he died. So, yeah. But yeah, man. I mean, you got to see, what Thragg felt, or how Thragg felt like he was pushed to do the things he does. He does it because he made a choice that cost him somebody's life that he not cared about, but somebody he followed. Because I don't even think Viltrumites are taught about love or caring. But yeah, like he wanted the smoke, and of course you're gonna see he was feeling a certain type of way, actually. And once they bring his body, he's talking about what they're gonna do or whatnot. He's like, I'm gonna assume the throne, this and that. And of course, and then that one black dude that he killed, I'm like, who the fuck was that guy? Why the fuck you do him like that? You had to kill the black guy to make an example out of him. I'm like, guys, damn, you could have killed the white bitch next to him. Why'd you have to kill the black brother? I was like, God, that had to be racially charged. That had to be racially charged. And he's like, are you going to betray me? And he's like, I will not. He's like, I don't believe you. I'm like, guys, damn. I didn't, and I forget, Thragg is that dude, man. And I was just like, I was blown away how much of a menace Thragg was on this episode. Like, if they wanted to show us that, hey, this guy is not a fraud, no. And yeah, I'm gonna have to add him to the menace tier list too. So I'm gonna have a menace list, and I'm gonna have a fraud list. And yeah, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. He stands above them all. Like, I'm not even gonna lie to you. He stands above them all, respectfully. And but yeah. And so, the whole Purge begins. You see a young Nolan in the crowd too. So he was in the Purge too. Not only did he survive the virus, but before that he survived the Purge. Like, that's crazy. And yeah. And so, yeah, no, and they all start killing each other. It's like this beautiful, horrific scene where it's like, gosh, damn, you guys are that fucking dumb? You guys are just killing each other? Like, imagine you guys, you're just chilling with your boy, and then the president of the United States is like, all right, guys, we have to get rid of the weak, kill the person, or kill anybody you feel like is weak. And then you and your friends start going at it. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this is just some dystopian ass, crazy ass cult. You know what I mean? It's just like a giant ass cultish ass fucking Earth or cultish planet. And so, yeah, man, it was crazy to see. It was kind of poetic. You know what I mean? Like, usually hate kills more hate. Or kills someone else that hates, or whatever you call it. What is it? What, hate begets violence, or violence begets something. It's some weird ass saying. But anyways, crazy scene. And then you cut back, after all that, Nolan is just aura farm, or not Nolan, Thragg is just aura farming. Like, the whole episode, he's just aura farming. I'm just like, gosh, damn, man. Like, why the fuck is he just there so menacingly? You know what I mean? And so, what's his name? Yeah, no, and they go back to Mark and everybody's coming to Viltrum, and yeah, man, it's just a whole thing. They come back to Viltrum, they enter, and it's all positive. It's all like, go save the galaxy. You got this. It felt like like how those superhero movies feel like, you got this, go save the world, go save the universe. It was all nice and loving. Nolan's saying that he loves the boys and stuff like that. It's his whole thing. And so, yeah, about that. Yeah, they get there and they already get ambushed. And supposedly there's more Viltrumites there than they expected or anticipated. And yeah, they get there and yeah, Dula's already slicing and dicing motherfuckers. Like, the last episode, Thaddeus was a dog. He was fucking up the general of the Viltrumites. Probably number 3 in the strength list, in tier list in the Viltrumite Empire. Number 3. And there's no easy way to say this. He was getting, he was getting fucked up that last episode. This episode, he actually was holding his ground. And then Thula too. Thula came in and slashed Thaddeus in the back. And that back, the back injury turned to be, problematic for Thaddeus. Not as much as getting his fucking head ripped off. Oh, man. Which I'll get to in a minute. Yeah, man. I ain't even gonna lie to you. This whole episode was amazing. I'm not gonna lie. You got to see the power scaling. You got to see that there's fucking levels to this shit. Like, maybe Conquest is number 2, but the fucking power difference between him and Thragg is pretty big. The power gap between him and Thragg is pretty fucking big. And you get to see bits and pieces on of it at the beginning, towards the beginning of the fight. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I knew Thragg was gonna be a fucking problem when Nolan went to try to punch Thragg. And Nolan goes in, he's about to give him a nice punch, knock him off course. Thragg just goes like this. He literally goes like this. he just takes he doesn't even step back or anything. He just goes back a little bit. And I was like, oh, he's about to be a fucking problem, ain't he? I was like, oh, he's about to be a fucking problem on the show too, ain't he? I was like, oh, he's about to be a fucking problem. Oh my goodness. And the way he punched Nolan, he kind of went back. You saw his back clench and you felt like, oh damn, he definitely broke a couple ribs on that punch. And he sent them back into Viltrum like a damn meteor. It was crazy. And it was like the tug and pull between him and Nolan, Thragg and Nolan. Man, that was some good talking, man. Some good dialogue, good writing. But, Nolan stood his ground. He was like, nah, we ain't going back. We ain't bringing Viltrum back. Fuck that. And, and you feel like bits and pieces of Thragg too. You feel him, you feel what he feels a little bit because he's like, damn, I gotta kill another one of my people. You know what I mean? It's not that he couldn't. He could kill everybody if he wanted to. Like, he could have ended the story. He's like Itachi in Naruto. He could have ended the story early if he wanted to. Like, that's how OP this guy is. Like, you don't understand the power level that this guy has. He was designed from birth to be the greatest Viltrumite ever. Just crazy. And so, but the fact that he still wants to, be there for his people, wants to make sure his people are straight, is actually fascinating. Like, he's an interesting character. And, he has like, not saying he's at Itachi's level of like interesting, but it's like, wait, there's more to this guy. You know what I mean? It's not just, he's not the basic big bad. Like there's more to this guy. Like he's a lot more deeper than what we're being led to see, because he can actually understand a situation and be like, hold up, we don't have to fight. You know what I mean? He's not just some crazy brute that wants to throw hands every time he pops up. You know what I mean? He's like, hold up, let's talk, yo. Not saying he's trying to use the no talk jutsu. No. Because Naruto, he depends on that. Thragg doesn't. He's just there to whoop ass. And so, yeah, man, he just, that one punch where he winds it up and it's so fast that it creates a vortex, around his arm, and it creates a vortex like a whirlpool, and it sucks Nolan in, and he just goes, boom, hits him with that uppercut, and for like a full minute, like a full minute or two, what was a couple minutes? Fucking Nolan is still tumbling and flying up into space from that punch. Like, it is crazy the amount of power that Thragg has. Like, what? And, Nolan at that point is looking back down at the planet. He's like, yeah, we're not winning this. And, and of course, Oliver being Oliver. This motherfucker thinks he can take on Thragg. And not only does Thragg fucking take his arm off with one swing, but he takes his arm off, and then he knocks his jaw off his fucking face. Like, Oliver is a fucking liability. I don't want to sugarcoat it. He's a fucking liability this season. And a good chunk of episode 8 of last season too. Big fucking liability, dog. You're not old enough. You're just a fucking child. Stick to low tier enemies and you'll be good. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Oliver, it just surprises me how long Oliver has lived. Because I'm like, dog, you should not be alive in this. And I'm like, dog, leave Oliver's ass at home next time, Mark. Stop fucking thinking that this is some PG-13 superhero movie. This shit is TV MA. You do not want any parts of that, kid. I'd tell him up front. I'd be like, hey, kid, you can't come with me, big dog. You can't come, bro. You know how little bros always want to be with their big bro, and it's nice and it's sweet. And maybe at times he can't help. Maybe there's certain things he can maybe do, but he's not at that level yet. And you're just like, nah, bro, you gotta stay home, big homie, little homie. And so, yeah, this motherfucker think you take on Thragg, and then Mark too. I'm like, dog, you just killed fucking Conquest. How are you struggling with these other motherfuckers? They're not as strong as Conquest. How are you struggling with them? Now, and then I also got to remind myself, though, that Mark just woke up from a coma, from being impaled. So his body's still recovering. So that's what I think a lot of people need to understand, too, is that his body was still recovering from being fucking impaled. Like, he woke up and he was already in a good state, but his body's not fully healed yet. So, of course, he's going to be a little weak, he's not going to be feeling all the way 100% himself. I say he was probably at 80, 90%. He probably wasn't himself. He wasn't at his full strength like it was with Conquest. He probably gave his all his strength holding on to that sorry about that, I had a phone call. But yeah, he gave all his strength probably holding on to Conquest's neck. His big tree trunk ass neck. And going back to Conquest though, amazing voice acting by Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Amazing acting. You did your thing, dog. And also that pump fake too at the end of that episode too. Genius. You had a lot of people shitting their pants when they saw that scene. But anyways, back to what's going on with Viltrum. Yeah, man. I mean, you can't beat that guy. You can't beat Thragg. Like it's obvious. Like throughout, like within 5-10 minutes of them fighting him, they're like, nope, we're not beating this guy. They're like, nope. And then the other Viltrumites, they got even stronger. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was the atmosphere in Telescria or something that made them weaker or something. I don't know what it was. But everybody was getting their ass whooped. Even Battle Beast was getting his ass whooped. He was getting pieced up by Thula. Ugh. The hair whipping bitch. And so I was just like, dog, what the fuck are you talking about? You over here, you only caught like 1, maybe 2 bodies, Battle Beast. He was talking all that shit and only caught 1 body. And I don't even count that other one because he got hit with the dart, I think, right? If I'm not mistaken, he got hit with the weakening dart. And so I was just like, nah, bro. We're going to see if he's on the fraud list or not. We're going to see. Yeah, bro. And I'm just like, dog, the fuck? And of course, Tech Jacket, you know, she came in clutch, and so did Speed Racer. So now we got Speed Racer. He came in and brought the Ragnars. Cool. I ain't gonna lie, he's a pretty cool character. I ain't gonna lie, it's an interesting character. There ought to be, if there are comic books about him, more comic books of what he was doing beforehand, that would be cool. And so, yeah, bro. Yeah, no, Speed Racer comes in with the Ragnars, releases them. Everybody's getting fucked up, which is good. I mean, they're offering quite a bit of Viltrumites. They are. And so, you know, what's his face? Nolan says, hey, Speed Racer. I said Racer. Racer. Let's go. We gonna blow up the planet. They grab Mark. They're like, hey, yo, we ain't gonna win. We ain't gonna win this fight. But I can tell you what we can do. Let's pull a Frieza. And yeah, man, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. That I don't know what he thought was gonna happen. Yeah, I don't know what Nolan thought was gonna go down or Thaddeus thought was gonna go down. But yeah, I'll just fast forward to it. Yeah, so pretty much they destroyed the planet. Crazy scene. Definitely know where the budget got upped at. And yeah, man, the whole, you know, keep in mind Oliver's still floating in space with his arm and jaw missing. And yeah, man, and they just blew up this fucking planet. And dog, it's just crazy. And then you see all the Viltrumites, fucking Steve Harvey. It was crazy, you know, it was goofy ass look. And his name's Lucan. My bad. I keep forgetting his name. His name's Lucan, but he's Steve Harvey to us. Everybody knows he's Steve Harvey now. His name is no longer Lucan. And so yeah, bro. I mean, man, and Thaddeus started talking shit. That was the craziest part. He started talking shit, and I'm just like, dog. Thaddeus, like they're not gonna give up, big homie. And I don't know what he thought was gonna happen, and you could tell, you know, fast forward to getting his head ripped the fuck off. You know, yeah, I ain't gonna lie, that was, you know, if I'm Mark seeing Thaddeus' heads get ripped off, and then fucking Thragg is like, you're next. Oof, I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm dipping. I'm like, oh, nope. Gotta get stronger. We'll come back. And so, you know. And right before that, they find out, my bad, I skipped the part, my bad. I'll cut it into a way where it makes sense. But yeah, so Mark, you know, after Oliver gets his face and jaw ripped off, Mark is like, I'll kill you too, just like I killed Conquest. And everybody, you know, not exactly what he said, but yeah. Everybody's looking at him like, they're like, oh, fuck, the half-breed killed Conquest? Earth is prime, is prime for the pumping. That's all they, I don't know if it was just that or they're shocked that Conquest actually died. You know, the person they've been terrified for years, you know, that terrified them for years and shit. that guy has been gone. That guy's been killed by Mark, a half breed. I bet you they were tripping. They're like, what? And yeah, bro. Nah, dog, like that shit was crazy. Especially looking in, you see Anissa's ass. You guys know what I'm talking about. You saw Anissa's ass, the way she looked at him. I called it probably like a week before because I saw saw the comics. So I was like, man, are they gonna do that scene? Man, I think they're gonna do that scene. Anissa is gonna be moving diabolically in season 5. Just a heads up. She's gonna be moving diabolically. And so going back to Thaddeus getting his head ripped off. Yeah, man. It sucks. Getting your head ripped off. Yeah, man. I mean, it happens. Don't let it get to your head. And all right, let me stop. Yeah, man. Mark, fast forward, Mark, Nolan, they're getting their asses whooped. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. They're getting their asses whooped. Like, fucking Thragg was putting BTA on these motherfuckers. Like, he was mad. He's crying. He's like, you destroyed my planet. Now I'm gonna fucking kill y'all. And so, he impels Nolan. You think Nolan's dead already? I'm like, oh fuck, he's dead. And then, Mark is like, no, and you think the adrenaline's gonna get him to a point where he can actually start fighting, like, the way he did with Eve when she got impaled last season. No, that's not gonna happen here. He throws a punch and it doesn't even faze him, and he's like, pathetic, and grabs him by the neck and headbutts him. And I'm just like, oh fuck, he's gone. How are we gonna continue? I'm actually thinking that they're gonna kill him. I already seen the comics, but seeing it in the show, I'm just like, damn, are they gonna kill this motherfucker off? I'm like, oh fuck. And fucking dude's poking his fucking eyes and shit, and it's bleeding. I'm like, no, Mark, fight. But nah, I was like, it was over. And then he looks over at his destroyed planet. I'm like, oh, don't fucking tell me it's plot armor. And that's what I'm saying. That's the shit I was saying about plot armor. Mark has it all. He drank all the plot armor juice. He drunk it all. And so, I'm not gonna lie to you, like, the 8th episode, I'm just gonna skip, Mark 7. I know this is already a long ass fucking video. But yeah, man, I mean, Mark's fucking having PTSD and shit. And he's like, oh fuck, oh damn. You seen what's his face? Thragg everywhere. He's killing everybody, everybody's coming back. Sweet little moment. Oliver's still in Telestria. Alan the alien, he's taken over as the new ruler since Thaddeus couldn't keep his head. Yeah. And so, it's just all the stuff getting ready for the other season. And then, Mark's have PTSD, seeing Thragg everywhere. He's hyperventilating. He's afraid to even fly. He had to get dropped off by what's his name? The cyborg guy. That's cool. Cool cyborg guy with the glasses. Yeah, and so it's his whole thing, and the whole time he's just fucking tripping, and then, he's losing it, and then he meets up with Eve, finds out she had a abortion while he was gone. So you remember the end of last season, turns out she was pregnant. Yeah, the reason why is because she was fucking, she had a abortion a couple episodes ago, or back in the episode when they first left. And yeah, bro, and then, it's an emotional scene. And of course, when he gets back to Eve's she's a little thick. She's thick with it. Nah, but yeah. Hey, I'm a thick boy. Shoot. Anyways, Mark was grabbing on a little extra. All right, let me stop. But but yeah, man. I mean, Mark had his thing. It was cool. He was being cool with her. He's being a good boyfriend. He's a good guy. And then you find out that going over to Paul, Big Paulie D. I call him Paulie D because D for Debbie and then Paulie. But anyways, Paul and Debbie are talking. They're like, "Oh man, it sucks that we broke up." It's that, you know what I mean, that predictable writing where you're just like, "Oh, okay, yeah." I mean, of course, you guys broke up in the meantime because, of course, in the comic books, Debbie is back with Daddy. Daddy Nolan, man. Even when he's an asshole, he still can't take a loss. And so, yeah, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I mean, I read the comic, or I read most of the comics, and then I read half of the comics, and then I got a speed run going into the second half of Invincible. So I ain't gonna lie, I read the first half of Invincible, and then I got a speed run watched on YouTube and stuff. So just a heads up. If I'm missing certain things from the comics, my bad. But yeah, man. I mean, yeah, and so that whole thing going on, they're broken up, and then Debbie and Nolan have their moment, and Nolan's like getting aggressive a little bit, saying, "No, I love you, girl. I want to be with you. We gotta be together, please." And then he fucking fast speed. He like fucking big ups Debbie. I'm just like, and with someone like Debbie, I think you have to, like, a lot of people say, "Oh, that's a dick move," and that's it. But with someone like Debbie, you either gotta be assertive and hope it works, or whatchamacallit, or be nice and nothing's gonna work. So Nolan was pulling all the tricks out of the hat. So I mean, not saying it was the right thing to do, but if you want your woman, you gotta take that extra step, not the other stuff. But you get what I'm saying. And yeah, man. And so Debbie was like, she kind of like listened to him officially. And you can tell Debbie like getting talked to like that. She actually did like getting talked to like that. She was like, "You can't stay here." She's plotting in the background like this. Like, "Oh, he got assertive. I missed that." And so, and she was like, "I miss Daddy." Hey, no, I'm crazy. But yeah, man, I'm just like, I was like, they're gonna get back together. I know it. I just know it. They're gonna do it. And which I was okay. I'm okay with, but it's just like, what I mean? Realistically, would you want to be with a space Nazi? You know what I mean? It's like, but I get, but at the same time, she was fucking that space Nazi for like 20 years. So, I ain't gonna lie, when you're laying it down, huh, Nolan? Anyways, and everything passes on, and then Nolan and Cecil talk, and Cecil saying, "Get the fuck out of the planet," and and I like that Cecil actually acknowledges what he did. He's not trying to be diplomatic and not talk about certain things, not piss nobody out, because that's how Cecil is. Like, he'll try to hide other people that are fucking evil and shit like that. He'll try to hide things. But this time he just came up straight up and was like, "Nah, like, what do you mean? The time where you whooped your, almost killed your son, or talk about the other people you killed?" You know what I mean? And so he's just straight up with him, which is cool. And fucking, he pretty much told him to get the fuck out of Earth. Excuse me. And I don't know, man. I think it was a cool conversation between them, just straight up two guys. You know what I mean? That never fucked with each other, having an honest conversation. It was always interesting. Debbie pretty much makes the decision that she's gonna go see Oliver because she's his mother, and so he has an attachment to him. But I'm not gonna lie. Well, I'm not gonna say it was everything too crazy. It's anything too crazy, but I like the subtle things where they try to keep it in the comics. They're not telling you that they're gonna smash. Him and Debbie and Nolan, but it's like it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. They're gonna get back with each other. It's gonna happen. And so, they're gonna go back to all. They're just like showing bits and pieces, but I'm telling you, they're gonna start season 5 off with Debbie and Nolan getting out of bed together. And I'll be like, I knew it. And so, it just is what it is. But anyways, and then that was funny too. He's like, I have to carry it. And Debbie, like, what did Debbie think was gonna happen too when they had to go up? You know what I mean? Like she knew he was gonna have to carry her, and she was like, "Yeah, I want." Like I felt like that because Debbie was too calm. She was in the spaceship just reading the magazine. I'm like, "You're too calm. I think you wanted this." Debbie was too calm. Like Debbie's is actually the hero of the story. Really, she really is. Because without Debbie, Mark would have learned compassion. Nolan would have learned compassion. Oliver would have learned compassion. Like, she's the real MVP of this whole series. Yeah. And so you can see you see it all. And then the last part though, man, I'm not gonna lie, they knew how to up the animation. Like, they know how to up their animation. They know where to put it, where to take it. Sometimes it's a little wonky at times, like on episode 6, but still, overall, I enjoyed this episode. Like, it wasn't some big dramatic thing, not until the end at least. And bits and pieces, you're seeing Mark losing it because Thragg. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that stuff was crazy. I ain't gonna lie. Seeing him having PTSD flashbacks and things like that stuff was fucking with him. Only for him to actually meet Thragg when he's supposed to just clear his mind and get rid of the PTSD. Old boy pops up when he's about to clear his mind and be cool. That's just crazy though. That's good writing though. That's good writing. And he's like, "Oh yeah, we are here." And it's different too. It's different from the comics because in the comics, I had Nolan. Nolan was with them, and so yeah, he was. At first they're thinking, throughout the episode, of course, they're thinking that the Viltrumites are there destroying things and stuff. I guess I should have mentioned that in the beginning. But it felt like a low-key filler episode, but it was actually pretty important because it establishes everything for the next episode or for the next season. And it was actually a solid episode. It wasn't the best episode, but it was a solid episode. Best episode, of course, was the previous one, episode 7. Like, you got to see the power of Thragg. Like, that shit was crazy. And and actually, I think, let's see. Yeah. My bad, I'm over trying to add, see if I missed anything. If I missed anything, guys, let me know. If you guys actually want me to talk about extra stuff, then let's do it. But just let me know if I missed anything. Because this thing's already long as it is. I'm trying not to make it that long, but this is a good show. And so you got to break everything down. If not, well, why did you talk about this? Why did you talk about that? And then I'm just like, oh, man, fuck you. And so I don't want to get there. But, I really want to just break it all down. But yeah, no, it was a solid show. I actually, enjoyed it. And it's long as hell, so if you sat through this whole thing, hey, you're a trooper. Appreciate you. And do me a favor, subscribe if you can. It was a hell of a good show. I rock with it. And now going to this final scene with Thragg and, Mark is fucking, remembering, thinking about all the things that could happen. And so, Thragg's just laying it down. He's like, "Hey, listen, we're here. Earth's our home now." He's like, "But, we're not going to destroy it unless you fuck with us. Don't fuck around and find out, Marky." And he's like, "Hey, you agree to this? We're just gonna breed. We're gonna grow our numbers, make them bigger. We're not gonna interrupt anything. We're gonna make them, I told my Viltrumites to blend in, pretend to be human, and just start repopulating." And so which is crazy. I ain't even gonna lie. That's a crazy concept. And yeah, man. I mean, he said, "Hey, we're not gonna mess with you. Just don't mess with us, and we're golden. But if you don't, we're gonna enslave your entire planet. We're gonna destroy your planet and enslave the women. Pretty much. Like they're insinuating it, but I'm pretty sure they're gonna make like they're gonna do some crazy stuff like breed camps. I was just like, whoa." Like, y'all motherfuckers are dark. Like, I know Viltrumites are pretty dark, but fucking breeding camps? It's insinuated, but that's pretty much what he was talking about. And that's crazy. That's crazy work. Breeding camps? Oof. And so, yeah, man, that's some wild stuff. I'm not even gonna lie to you. And, yeah, man, I mean, nah, and Mark had to, at first Mark was like, no, but he wasn't doing anything to him. And so it was like, what do I say? And then, of course, Thragg was like, hey, listen, you're in a crazy position because you have no choice, but you still have to make a decision. And Mark's like, yes, I agree. And this and that. I was like, gosh, damn, boy. Man, that boy Thragg, not only is he terrifying physically, but psychologically. You know what I mean? That man plays psychological games with you too. He's like, he'd be talking shit too. He'd be like, willing or not, you're our savior. Thanks. And just drove. I was like, what? You know what I mean? Like that, like his dialogue, like I take back everything I said about Thragg. I was a fucking idiot. It was the animation that caught me off guard. The animation for episode 6 just caught me off guard, guys. I apologize deeply. But, hopefully you guys can forgive me. Hopefully Thragg can forgive me. Hopefully he ain't looking for me. Or Lee Pace. Again, Lee Pace is out of my house, outside my apartment. Heard you talking shit, motherfucker. Oh, fuck. But yeah, a great episode, great season, man. This stuff was just peak. I ain't gonna lie, it was peak. All of it was just perfect. And yeah, I ain't gonna lie, this is probably the best season. Like, by far. You know what I mean? Like season 3, I ain't gonna lie, might take the cake, but and season 1 too. We're just talking animation. Season 1 is top tier, but if we're talking like just overall, season 3 might take it. But this season right here, oof, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. This season's it, and the thing is, each season improves as it goes on. Each season gets better and better and better, and that's what I like too about this show. It just continuously gets better. And so now that we're done with the review, overall, amazing show. If I had to rate it or have a rating system, 9 out of 10, easily. And I'm not gonna lie to you. Only reason why it's a 9. It's nothing. It's a culmination of things that are bringing it down. It's the Herm episode where they're in hell, and it's a combination of that. It's a combination of the animation throughout the series. I get you cannot spend that much money on this, but I'm telling you, a show like this is going to be your bread and butter. It's going to be your bread and butter. Especially with the boys going out. This is their final season. By the way, amazing show. I might do a review on that too. That show's amazing. But no, overall, I think you need to start putting, hey, spend that extra money. You guys got it. I mean, I'm not trying to count y'all's pockets, but you got it, Amazon. Put more money into this, man. I understand you guys have a lot of great actors. I'm just saying, like, hey, go all out, because this show right here, this show is gonna make you some money. It might end up being your bread and butter. I'm just saying, those wonky episodes where where it's just like it just feels like you just extended a clip and just moved it a little to the right and made it seem like Mark was flying fast and stuff. Like, I was just like, that wasn't good. That was a good animation. Where he's flying through the ship with Oliver on episode 6, I was just like, I don't know about that. But still, overall, the whole show amazing. Everything was amazing. The acting's flawless. Sandra Oh, that's her name, right? Sandra Oh? Miss, I'm just gonna say Oh. I'm just gonna say Debbie because that's her. Debbie's a VA, man. She went all out. I hope she wins an Emmy. Like honestly, like stuff like that. That's Emmy worthy. Now we're just going to the characters. So Debbie, I ain't gonna lie, baby. You're probably the anchor of the show. I'd say Debbie's the anchor. She keeps the show together. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's one. Yeah, she keeps it steady. She keeps it going. She's the anchor of the show. Because without Debbie, this show probably would have turned out way different. And yeah, and if you see the show, you're gonna know why. And yeah, now shout out to Deb. And then going on to Cecil, I would say he's also an anchor because he keeps things together. It's like two sides of a coin. It's like Debbie's the good anchor, Cecil's the bad anchor, but they both keep it's like a yin and yang. They both keep this show together, in my opinion, the way I see it. You know, Debbie keeps, inspiring, nurturing Mark and Oliver. And at times, Nolan, like, in certain parts in the show, yeah, Nolan, because the reason why he changed and everything was because of her. So, yeah, she is the good anchor. Cecil's the bad anchor. He's the one that has to work with villains. He's the one that has to kill certain people and things like that. He has to do a whole bunch of stuff. He betrays Invincible, of course, for the greater good, in his opinion. And so, I feel like they're two of the anchors of the show. They're like the main anchors of the show. And then, which I'm not going to really talk on them, but let's get to that fraud list. Well, my bad. We have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. And 3 being the highest. That's how I'm going to do it. Just keep it simple. Tier 3 is going to be the biggest fraud on the show so far. Biggest fraud. And we're going to go down from tier 1 up to tier 3. So these are the fraud people on the fraud list. Tier 1, I would have to say Tech Jacket. Gosh damn. For somebody that offed a Viltrumite or two, like, you are good tech-wise, but when it comes to fighting, you're damn near a liability. I'm not going to lie to you. You're a tier 1, but at times you came in clutch when you helped out Speed Racer. That's the only reason I'm like, okay, maybe her tech is what is really going to carry her character in the show. So I'm like, okay, she should be just a tier 1 frauder. Yeah, we would just call him tier 1. Another tier 1er, I would have to say is, it might be a little controversial. Alan. And Alan caught a body or two. He caught a body or two in the thing. But the thing is, Alan's supposed to be the guy. Like, he's supposed to be stronger than the average Viltrumite. You know what I mean? Or as strong as the average Viltrumite and things like that. And so it's like, so, every now and then and the reason why he even caught that one body is because he was weakened. But the thing is, you see him getting slapped around by Lucan and all these other Viltrumites. I'm just like, gosh damn, dog. Like, come on now. Like, why are you out here getting slapped around, man? Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, you'll see him do some great stuff, or, the way he was coordinating with Nolan in the last season, when they made their escape. I'm like, gosh, damn, this dude is powerful. And then now this season, he's hiding. He's doing this and that. And, it's just like, not going to lie to you. Alan, Alan might be part of that number one, or the first tier list of frauds. So he's a first tier frauder. Next on the first tier frauder list, I would have to say Battle Beast. You talk all that shit. My own blood will be my last meal. Rawr. Only to get pieced up by Dula and thrown to the side by Thragg. You had one body, big homie. Nah, bro. You are a fraud, sir. I am so sorry. But you're a fraud. Yeah, no, Battle Beast is a fraud. Gotta give it to him. Tier 1. Now, going on to tier 2 on the fraud list. It's somebody that I'm just like, it's just every time I see him on screen, I'm just like, you're a fraud, big dog. You know, why are you out here talking and doing this and that and you know what I mean? And you're gonna get what I'm saying in a minute. It's just like, bro, you know, you talk a big game or you say this and that, and then you either getting captured or you're getting captured, you're getting sent somewhere else. Every now and then you're helpful, but it's like I don't see it. I'm just like, dog, just stay home. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'm just like, dog, stay home. And that next person has to be Robot. You know what I mean? Robot in the other seasons have been very helpful. He did his thing. But now him coming in, you know, he got mad that he wasn't made the leader. And then when he was down in the sewers, if he wouldn't have gone to the sewers, then he wouldn't have gotten captured or got the Sequid stuck in his body when they knocked him out. And yeah, bro, and he almost got a lot of people killed for making that mistake too. Because if that Sequid would have gotten out, all hell would have broken loose. So luckily Monster Girl was there when he got it, but I was just like, dog, you ain't doing nothing. And he's always doing the extra stuff. And I'm just like, dog, why are you there? You know, at least this season. The other season's been very helpful, very useful. But, and every now and then, but I'm just like, dog, why are you there this season? At least this season. This season, I just didn't feel like he was as helpful. And I feel like he's a bigger fraud. The only reason why I say he's not on the first tier list is because the other ones are actually fighting, and then we didn't really see much after him. So I'm just gonna call him. I would put him on the first tier list, but it was just something. It's something about Robot this season that gives me the feeling that he's a fraud. And if you see the comics, you're gonna see a whole bunch of nonsense. But either way, I would have to say, yeah, he's gonna be on fraud alert. I'm not gonna lie to you. But the number one spot we got for fraud alert, or no, my bad. Next person for fraud alert, I would have to say is General Krieg. You know, for somebody that's the general of all Viltrumites, he sure gets his ass whooped a lot. You know what I mean? Old man fucking Thaddeus was putting the beats on this man. Putting the beats. Like, dog was having a field day with this motherfucker. Like, come on, dog. On the real, you know, I'm just saying, like, if you're the general, you gotta be at least number 2 or number 3 behind the Emperor, or, you know, Grand Regent in this case. And he just wasn't. And so, I'm not gonna lie to you, he doesn't scare me. He doesn't strike me as somebody that's like, oh, General Krieg, ooh, you know what I mean? He's just, you know, he has a little plot armor. Sometimes he has a little plot armor himself, or the plot is just in favor of him, or he benefits from certain plot armors. He doesn't have plot armor per se, but he benefits from it because he needs to be in the story or something. You know what I mean? You guys get what I'm saying. But yeah, General Krieg is a tier 2 fraud. Not gonna lie to y'all. And I would also like to add Lucan to the tier 2 fraud list. Not gonna lie to you. I mean, there's times where he does hit, but It's just like he doesn't do anything. Nobody does anything to him. He's just there in the middle. Lucan, I mean, he's like, season 2, he was pretty menacing. But this season, it was just like, he looks more and more like Steve Harvey. You know what I mean? They just made a meme out of him where he's like this, looking at the planet getting destroyed. Like they just turned him into a meme. When you get turned into a meme, sometimes it's cool, but other times it's like, there's a reason why. So yeah, they made a meme out of this motherfucker. So, and then not to mention, he ran away after Speed Racer showed up. Like, come on, dog. I understand he blasted your homeboy, but it's not even your homeboy. You get what I'm saying, but still, dude. Nah, bro, you're a whole fraud. But yeah, Big Dog ran away, and yeah, I'll call him tier 2 frauder. But I would have to say now, for the ultimate fraud was that I can say without a shadow of a doubt. Invincible's costume. Like, dog goes at least through 30, 40 damn costumes a fucking episode. Like, or some shit like that. Like 30, 40 every 2-3 episodes. Like that fucking every little, even with Dinosaurus, he had a little scratch. Or the Vial. Yeah, like in the Herm episode, you think nothing's gonna happen to Mark, everything's gonna be cool, and then he at the last second just scratches him at the last second. Like, that suit's supposed to be, as durable as the person it's in. Like come on, what's his name? I forgot his name. Artie. Like, but I get it. You're in Earth. You only have earthly materials. It's not meant for outer space travel and things like that. But still, it's like, guys, damn, for a suit that's supposed to be durable, it's like always getting fucked up. I don't know, like Invincible, your costume is probably the biggest fraud out there. It's supposed to handle magma and things like that, but when he went through the core, that shit just melted right off. And so it was like, that suit never stays on. He never, like, whatever he puts on the suit, that suit's not gonna be there for more than a couple minutes. But yeah, the biggest fraud in Invincible has to be his damn suit. It doesn't last long. But yeah, man, those are my top frauders. But let's move on to the menace list. And yeah, man, we got menaces. I'm gonna speed run through this. And and before we even get there, before we move on to the next list, the last fraud of Invincible. I'm sure you all guessed it. Fucking Oliver! That motherfucker cannot stop getting fucked up. He just cannot. He is the biggest fraud in Invincible. Biggest fraud. And honestly, at times it's his fault, but other times it's like other people are like putting too much on him to do something. And in reality, like, the kid's only like fucking 10. In reality, he's only like 1 to 2 years old. You know what I mean? And so you guys are telling him to take on Viltrumites and this and that. I'm just like, he's a fucking kid. What the fuck is he gonna do? You know what I mean? Every now and then he gets a good lick in, but it's like, that's it. And then right after that, they grab him, and that's all she wrote. Once they grab Oliver, boop, he's done. So yeah, man, Oliver has to be the biggest fraud in Invincible, dog. And I'm just like, dog, what the fuck, bro? Like, stay your ass at home, dog. You did not need to come out here, bro. Biggest fraud in Invincible right now is fucking Oliver, dog. Pissing me off. But going over to our menace list, starting off at tier 1. So the tier 1 list, you can pretty much fill it up with a lot of people. I'll fill it up with, Anissa. She's a menace. I'll fill it up with Thula. I'll fill it up with who else? Who else? There's another guy. I'll say Eraserhead. That dude's a straight menace for the other, for certain reasons, because he knows how to play the undercrime syndicate world. He knows how to play that world, and he played the two guys that were, what's his name? I forget his name. This is like those filler episodes. Damien, Darkblood. If you want to add a sister to that, then cool. Volcanic. No, she's a little higher. Maybe. Actually, you know what? Let's go back to the fraud list. Now that we're talking about the Herm, I'm sorry. Tier 1 fraud list, I had to put Satan. I forgot to put Satan there. Sorry about that. Yeah. Satan was getting it, either he was weak or he was just getting his ass whooped. Yeah. But going back here, Thaddeus. We'll put Thaddeus because he would have been tier 2, but if he wasn't so easily getting fucked up by Thula and Krieg, I would have probably would have put him a little bit higher. Even though Krieg, like I said, I understand Krieg was probably more menacing last season, or he's more menacing in the comics, but just this season alone. So if anybody's coming at me for Krieg, yeah, I'm just talking about this season. This is all I'm doing. Just this season right here. He's a fraud, unfortunately. And so who else can I add? And so I guess maybe you can, I like old boy, the concrete dude, gangster or whatever you want to call him. That dude was a menace, and the guy he fought, the magnet guy, that dude was a menace. Tier 1. Who else? Telu or whatever, dragon guy, you can add him there. He's a menace. Who else? A lot of tier 1s, a lot of tier 1 menaces on there. Actually pretty good. I would have to say maybe. Nah, I'll put Eve. Oh no, Eve's number 2. I ain't gonna lie. All right, let's maybe who else? I mean, I guess all the Guardians, you could put them as tier 1. You know what I mean? Say what you will about their power scaling and stuff. I think I think overall, like with power scaling and all that things, you can say whatever you want, but as far as menaces, like they're always willing to jump into a life-death situation, which sucks if you live in an invincible world. But yeah, I'll put them down as tier 1. All the Guardians, tier 1. And I guess you could say Cecil too. But now Cecil, we're gonna start it off with snap. We can start off with tier 2 now. Tier 2, we got Cecil. Yeah, Cecil is a tier 2 menace just because he's always freaking lying and playing the strings behind people's backs. Like, you gotta be he's a menace for a whole different reason. Not because of power scale or anything like that, but just because he's pulling so many different strings and playing so many different games in one that you gotta give it to him. You're like, damn, only a menace can live and work like that continuously. You know what I mean? Not many people can do that. So I'll give Cecil his props. No, we don't have to keep going. And so next that we have on the list, I would have to put Nolan. Nolan is a tier 1 menace. Or no, is a tier 2 menace, my bad. Yeah, man. I mean, he still is still doing his thing. He's apologized and he's still doing his thing, fighting. I'm not gonna lie, I would put him in number 1, but he's more of a main character and he gets a little bit more stuff. So only reason why he's tier 2 is because of the story and plot armor. That's it. he has a certain amount of plot armor. Only a certain amount. He doesn't have it all, but he has a certain amount of plot armor. And so that's one reason why he's a little bit up there. But let's see. Tier 2, I would say Speed Racer. Like, that dude came in clutch. Speed Racer definitely came in clutch. And I gotta give it to him. You know, dude has a infinity ray that can destroy planets or anything in its path. Like, that's crazy. Like, that weapon is so OP that you gotta train to not shoot it in the wrong direction and blow up a planet accidentally. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, man, Speed Racer, yeah, that dude's a dog. And he's the MVP. He's really an MVP. Like, yeah, I don't think a lot of people give him credit, but he's an MVP. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. And speaking of Speed Racer, I want to add in there the Ragnars. Just Ragnars in general. All Ragnars are tier 2. They could be tier 3, really. Actually, you know what? I take that back. No, they're not tier 2. They're not tier 2. Another one I could say that, you know, maybe I think he could be tier 1. No, I take it back. So yeah, I think that's good. That's good for tier 2. Now going off to tier 3. Debbie's Cakes. I'm just kidding. Oh man, I'm just kidding. All right, but now Debbie was a menace. Just if we're just talking about acting and really holding the story together, she's a tier 3. She's a tier 3 level person. Just because she holds the story together like glue. Like I said, she's an anchor. And so like I said, she's an anchor, so she's tier 3 for me. But for different reasons, not for power scaling or anything. We're just talking about like importance. Like when I mean menace, I mean like importance. Overall, I mean, you know, how lethal they are in combat. Things like it's a combination of things, or it's different things brought in. Because it wouldn't feel right if I were to say, oh, because of power scaling, this and that. Like, no, it's a combination of things. So if you guys think it's because it's off power scaling and things like that, I'm like, no, I'm just talking about characters in general, like where they lie in importance and storytelling and plot, etc. And yeah, I do say she's a tier 3. Another person I want to add is the Ragnars. Yeah, Ragnars. And so the Ragnars, yeah, no, definitely there. Tier 3, I gotta put Mark, because nobody else in that show would have had the heart to go toe-to-toe with Thragg like that, other than Nolan. But the thing about Nolan is his character was kind of like watered down this season. Like, we're talking season 1 Nolan. Oh yeah, he's tier 3 menace for sure. But if we're talking, you know, this season right here, I didn't feel that much tenacity. Like, even though he's a great character, he's one of the strongest Viltrumites. But, you know, we all know, you know, who's the show's called. And, you know, we got Invincible, we got Mark. And so Mark definitely has gotten stronger. And the fact that he went one-on-one with the second strongest Viltrumite and beat him, you got to put him in the top, the number 3 list. You got to. And so, yeah, man, you got to put him there. And then next one, since we're speaking on tier 3, we got to put Conquest, because Conquest can impact any battle. He comes in, it's like, oh shit's about to go down. Just his impact alone. Yeah, he can turn the tide of any battle or any war. And, you know, at the same time, he has a lot of power, yet he has none. That's a crazy predicament to be in. He has all that power, yet has none, and he still has to bow down to somebody. I'm just wondering, you know, imagine, you know, and I was wondering the whole time, who is he bowing down to? If he's the scariest dude on Invincible so far, who is he bowing down to? And now we get to the man, the myth, and the legend. Thragg. Yeah, he beat all fraud allegations. He's not a fraud. I apologize if I ever made it seem like he was. This dude is the guy. He is the guy. Yeah, he's the guy. You cannot beat him. You cannot, you can't even make him sweat. You know what I mean? Like, all the punches they threw at him, all the times they tried, he is just too fast. He is on another level. It's crazy. And so, there we have it, y'all. There we have it. Full review and tier lists on who's, the best, who's some of the worst. If there's some characters I missed that you feel like I should put on there, let me know. Yeah, just let me know. But yeah, I would have to say, yeah, this is where I'm going with. But appreciate you guys tuning in, man. If you made it this far, man, do me the biggest favor: like, share, and subscribe. Honestly, to be real, I mean, I doubt anybody's made it this far, but if you have, I definitely would appreciate if you like, share, and subscribe. And thank you for joining me today. Come talking some junk, or, if you hit me up in the comment section, come talk some junk. Let me know your tier list as well. If you're watching this, let me know what you guys think or what you guys feel. And I'm sorry that this thing was so long. I was just trying to get through every little detail, every little thing. And, it could be a lot. Maybe I can squeeze this in 30 minutes less, but it's gonna be a lot of editing I'm gonna have to do for this one video alone. So just bear with me, all right, yo. But yeah, we can go ahead and end it right there. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, and thank you guys for joining me today. But until next time, everybody, it's been real, it's been raw. Yeah, it's been too easy, yo. Much love. And remember, thank you for choosing this review and tier list thingy, whatever. Thank you for choosing this reaction to